75% of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are Hall of Famers. And that's making a couple of assumptions. Russell Wilson, I put him in that conversation.
Of course.
Pat Mahomes, which is in that conversation. But, Ben and...
What about Russell Wilson? You put him in, obviously.
Russell and Mahomes are my two assumptions.
Russell, sorry, I got you.
If I take them out, it's still 74.8% or whatever it is.
Yeah.
If I leave them in, it's 76%. 75+% of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are Hall of Famers. So in order to get to this point, you're usually great. And to get into the Super Bowl and win it, you're usually great. And so, yeah, you're right, BT. When you look at this particular lineup with three quarterbacks who have MVPs and one who, if he plays the way that he did this season for the rest of his career, will win one, maybe multiple of those. Talking about Josh Allen, of course. This is as good as you can get QB-wise.
You can't get better.
In the championship games.
The only way the only way this will not measure up to, and it's a handful of years past. I just chronicled the last five, and nothing can touch what we're getting ready to watch coming up this weekend. But the only thing that would challenge the iconicness of this quartet is if, and I don't expect this, I'm just saying, is if Josh Allen somehow goes sideways, which is not happening.
No.
I mean, Josh Allen is on I believe that for the next 10 years, we will enter, maybe 10's ambitious given the fierce, atrocious nature of the sport. So I'll say 7 years.
Yeah.
Right, 7, but he's young, so you really could say 10. But we'll just say 7. We'll say 7.
Dude, do you see him doing this at 36? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is 36.
I do.
37.
Look at Ben. Look, you want to compare him structurally, body type. It's more about Ben, but he's so much stronger, and he's going to keep himself in better shape. Blah,
more
blah,
athletic.
blah.
Definitely more athletic. Doesn't take as many hits. Doesn't stand still and beat me up type of player. He's not.
No, he's not. But even if Josh Allen's the kind of player for the next however many years, we can just settle. We'll settle on 7.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's going to enter seasons as not necessarily a front runner, although some years he might be as an MVP candidate, but he's on the short list until proven otherwise. For me, what I've seen with his wheels and his arms. So this quartet is not going to be diluted by, remember that one great year that Josh Allen had for the Buffalo Bills? No, this is going to be the start of many great years for Josh Allen, and in all probability, in totality, team-wise, for the Buffalo Bills. So this is special stuff. But what it also does, it does illuminate, and I know that it's unanswerable. It is. It's unanswerable, but it's fun. Trying to decipher, trying to determine, trying to delineate, okay, what's it? A little more Belichick, a little more Brady. I know there's no right or wrong answer, but listen, my answer is it's not Brady. That's my answer.
It has to be.
It's my answer.
It has to be at this point. Now, this is also discounting how good of a coach Bruce Arians is, and also how great of a staff that Bruce Arians has built. All of them African American, by the way, and a couple of females on that staff also. Yep. I mean, Bruce Arians,
Byron Leftwich, OC, no doubt.
Yep. And your former head coach,
Todd Bowles, back with Bruce,
coordinator, who was aggressive as could all be against the Saints, and it was the only way to beat the Saints. Get in Drew Brees' face, play man coverage. I think they played 75 or 76% man coverage in this game, BT. And so
you should.
You have to. He's
force him to beat me.
Force him to make some mistakes, great plays. He didn't make any great plays. He made a bunch of mistakes.
A lot.
Great job by Todd Bowles. So you can't discount the coaching that went into this. But at the end of the day, it goes back to what we started this conversation about, BT. Great quarterbacks that are still with it and have the arm and the ability to lead like Tom Brady did are rare. And at 43, he doesn't look like he's losing his step at all.
He doesn't. It's crazy.
It was amazing. Now, he's got all the great talent around him, but still, you
got to look the part, man.
Exactly right. And he looks the part.
And
he played great, especially after the first quarter. And this game just it made me realize how special it is to watch Tom Brady do what Tom Brady does. And there were some missteps this year where we questioned it maybe for a week or maybe even 2 weeks, but it just makes you realize how special of a player he is, and that he can fit in different systems, even if, Bill Belichick, who is one of the great coaches of all time, isn't with him.
It took a while. I mean, it took a while this year. There's nobody that's disputing that. I don't mean that they were, mired in this lengthy 4-game, or like for the Bears, like a 6-game losing streak, but you watch the Bucs every week with the expectation And part of this is just because, we're wrapped up in fantasy and stats and the way we perceive football. It's become easy to score, right? So we flip on the Bucs every week, and we think we're going to get a pinball machine, just like at the old arcade, just blowing up like lights everywhere. Ding, 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 like 50 points every week. And it really undercuts the importance and the necessity of camaraderie and of chemistry and of belief and conviction of what you do. And what they did was they course corrected. And about 7-ish weeks ago, they started altering, not radically overhauling, but they altered how they play.
Yeah.
And now they said, and that, to your point about Bruce Arians being a great coach, Bruce needed to show some adaptability, and he did. And if he was stubborn and if he did not show that adaptability, they would not be here right now.
No, you're right.
They needed to change how they play and let Tom Brady do what Tom Brady does, and Bruce Arians did that.
Yeah, you got to run the ball, as they did effectively. They have 30-something carries, 35 carries, I think, on the day.
And by the way, 32 the first 2 games against the Saints total.
Combined.
35 yesterday combined.
Yeah, exactly. Now, a lot of that was because they were able to get first downs, and they involved the tight ends more. Cameron Brate, at one point, he had like 80 yards. I'm like, Cameron Brate has 80 yards?
He's going to be open. Somebody's going to be open.
And so that's what it is. It's like, forget trying to make the big play. You have this downhill, no risk it, no biscuit, Bruce Arians thing, throw the ball, take some shots. Forget that. Just get first downs. When you start getting first downs, good things happen. And you have to utilize your underneath players, like your tight ends, Gronk and Brate, being most specific. And that's what Tom Brady has thrived in his whole life. And so you're right. The Buccaneers adapted. Byron Leftwich adapted. And Tom Brady never missed a beat despite some of the doubts that were probably creeping in a lot of people's heads.
I had some. No, probably. You could call me out on this show. I was basically saying, I don't see it with the Bucs. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to necessarily win coming up on Sunday. We've got all week to flush through that. But I am not stunned by any stretch that they're here. But, I mean, I've got to remain married to some of my points. Otherwise, what kind of respect do I have with the audience? I wasn't sure if this Bucs team was going to figure it out. I just wasn't. Tom Brady, some marquee games, some measuring stick games, didn't play well. I was wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
He's played great.
Look, at the end of the day, what makes this team so good is that they are balanced offensively and defensively. 4 turnovers in this game. And you intercept. Now, the last interception for Drew Brees was just kind of their prayer. They're trying to get the ball downfield. But, I mean, they were confusing him. They were, aggressively playing him, forcing him to make throws that it just looks like he just can't make anymore, which brings up the question on whether or not this was his last game. And I think I
hope it is.
From optics, it looked like it, BT. Not just how the mistakes that he made, but how he looked after the game, like walking off the field and taking that last glimpse back that everybody has been talking about at the Superdome, and then ultimately playing with his kids on the field with his wife, and Tom Brady came out there, and it felt like the end. Now, he's not going to announce it anytime soon, I don't think. He said, obviously, I'm just going to think about it, but it looked to me like this is it for Tom, for Drew Brees,
and it should be.
Yeah.
And we will have a full show. I'm once he retires, not 3 hours, but once he does retire. We've had Drew on the show before. It's been a little bit, but it wouldn't surprise me if we get him back up. That's certainly the goal, and that's the belief. So when he retires, when he announces it, we'll give him his full due. One of the all-time greats. He's just obliterated the record book. He's comported himself with class. That is without saying. He's one of the all-time great guys. He's done so much for that city. He's rebuilt the infrastructure of that city, both from an educational point of view. He's brought races together. He's made it basically colorless. Drew Brees is a class act, a great guy, and a great player. But from a football point of view, I do hope that this is it, because it's done. He's just about done. Michael Thomas didn't have a catch.
I know.
0.
I know.
I mean, that's
that conversation about who's next for the Saints will be interesting, too.
Oh, yeah. It will be.
His first playoff game.
How about that?
His only throw.
And Sean Payton stole the play for the Bears that the Bears couldn't actually catch.
That was awesome.
Wide open.
That was awesome.
All right, so we'll get to, listen, Drew Brees will be on our radar as soon as something comes in, as I said. It's not going to come today, but when it does, we'll give Drew his due. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.